All right, everyone, I want to talk today about reference voltage. I'm going to run both these meters at 5,000 volts, and I'm going to measure the difference between them using a multimeter that's only rated for 1,000 volts. So how am I going to do this? What matters is the reference. I'm going to use this one's 5,000 volt mark as this one's starting reference, and the meter is going to measure the difference between them. So if they're both way up here, then the little bit of sag on this one between this one, the multimeter will see, but it won't be able to see all the 5 kV in between. So what we're going to do is I have this thing set to 500 volts now, and just as a sanity check, I have it set to DC. I'm going to turn this on, should see 500 volts come up here. It's about spot on, 508 and 508. So I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to come over here, and just so everyone knows that this is a working test set, I'm going to plug this one into here and this one into here, and I'm going to turn this on. And we're sitting at 476. It's a little off on the lower range, but hardly anyone tests at 500 volts anyways. So now I'm going to set this to 1,000 volts. I'm going to start it again. 1,005. Now you can't go over that because of the meter, but what we can do is we can also verify the Megger. We'll set this to 1,000 volts and we'll meg its inputs. Should see this go around 1,000 volts. So it says 1011 and 1011, so the meters are pretty accurate as well. So now I'm going to turn this off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to determine my reference. My reference point is going to be these 2 meters black leads are bonded together. So now that they're bonded together, they have a common reference point between the 2 test sets. So now I'm going to apply my red to the multimeter, and I'm going to set, this one is still at 1,000 kV. I'm going to turn this one on. This gets nothing because the other input's not connected yet. Now I'm going to turn this one on, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to connect, this one's hot, this test set's hot, to the other end, and now it's going to measure the difference between the 2. And it's saying that if this Megger is putting out 1,024, 27, which we verified is correct, and it's saying that it's minus 3 volts less, so this is 120 or 1,024 volts. So I'm going to turn this, I'm going to unplug this, turn these both off. Now I'm going to set this to 2,500. I'm going to set this one to 2,500. I'm going to turn this test set on. I'm going to turn this test set on. The multimeter doesn't see anything yet, but this says it's 2,555, and this one just shows it's on the 2,500 volt range. So I'm going to plug this in here, and we've got minus 54 volts. So this little guy right here is probably putting out exactly 2,500 volts. So now I'm going to unplug this. I'm going to turn these both off. And I'm going to set this to 5 kV now. I'm going to set this one to 5 kV. I'm going to turn this one on. The key here is that multimeter is insulated from everything else. So I'm going to turn this one to 5,000 volts. I'm going to turn this one on. The difference between these 2 leads is 109 volts, 108, and this says it's 5097. So this is probably 4 volts less than 5 kV. So it doesn't display the voltage on it, but that's a good way to check it right there, because I know this is a known good test set. So I'm going to unplug this, turn off both test sets, and that's the conclusion. So what matters? Reference voltage. Make sure you understand where you're measuring from and to. You can be shocked if you're grounded. So don't just assume that ground is the reference voltage. It's not always the reference voltage. Thank you.